this video, we are going to be talking about mass shootings. And honestly, I should probably just include natural disasters in this, since there is currently a very large fire in California right now that seems to be pretty questionable. But I guess I'm just going to lump those together, and that's what we're going to talk about today. My name is Catherine. I'm an energy healer, spiritual coach, and nurse practitioner. If you need personalized coaching or an energy healing from yours truly, then you can go to my website at catherineglassman.com, or you can email me at hello@catherineglassman.com. So when I originally started to channel information for this video, which, by the way, all of this information is channeled through meditation, so if it resonates, then great, and if not, that's fine too. When I was originally channeling information for this video, initially mass shootings came up. And then something happened in California where a large fire broke out. And as of today, as of the filming of this video, there is at least 17,000 acres burned in California in the LA region. I think between 1,000 to 2,000 homes or structures have been destroyed. 180,000 people have been evacuated. And I think 250,000 people don't have power. Now, of course, if you know me or if you've watched any of my other videos, then you probably would guess that I definitely find this to be a little suspicious. From what we know from news outlets, the mayor actually left the day that the fire started to go to Africa, to go to this political inauguration of like an African president of some sort. I'm not entirely sure, but the mayor of California left. When questioned while she was in Africa, I believe, of when she was going to return or what she thought about the fire, she just didn't have any comment. It also turns out that they made a $17 million budget cut to the fire department just 7 months ago. And a lot of people are reporting that their fire insurance had been canceled just a few weeks ago. Donald Trump is saying that from the federal side, he tried to enact some policy where California would end up getting more water because of the risk of firefighters or because of the risk of wildfires. And it was denied by the governor of California. But yes, apparently people were reporting that there was just not enough water in the fire hydrants for the firefighters to fight the fires with. There were not enough firefighters, so they're just asking for volunteers. A lot of people in the area are reporting that their water was shut off. Some people are reporting that roads were blocked, specifically with Teslas. And some speculate that it's because they are made with lithium batteries, which are highly flammable. So obviously there's just a lot of questionable things happening. Of course, I didn't have to channel very much about that. I just, I can just feel that this is a Maui incident repeating itself. The only difference is that it sounds like there are a lot of celebrity homes that are burning down as well. And of course, some speculate that a lot of them are ones that are going to be held accountable for certain crimes. And it's the timing is a little interesting that, shortly after Donald Trump gets nominated for president, a lot of celebrity homes are burning down, maybe some celebrities that have a connection with P. Diddy, perhaps, right? The conspiracies can go on, but for me, all it takes is just a gut feeling. And the gut feeling for this particular fire does not feel natural at all. And so I have definitely have been praying and sending just love and support in any energetic way that I possibly can. It's a lot and it's devastating. But I specifically wanted to talk about mass shootings or mass acts of violence, I guess, terrorist attacks, specifically in the United States. But before I go into that, I forgot one fact. It turns out that the Department of Defense just approved for another $500 million to be sent to Ukraine, like just recently. So I just wanted to share that. There are people in North Carolina that are still trying to salvage all of their belongings or what's left of it from the previous hurricane. And I don't even know if they got money. If they did, it was hundreds of dollars, if that. And we're sending millions of dollars to Ukraine. So, anyway, that's the last thing I'm going to say about that. So, why did I feel like I needed to talk about terrorist attacks or specifically shootings? Well, now that Donald Trump has officially been elected as our next president, this is going to set off a lot of wild events. The majority of these events, from what I've seen through my own meditations, is that these are going to be orchestrated. A lot of them. A lot of the major ones, anyway. And I understand if you have your own personal beliefs about Donald Trump or your own personal views on politics and Republicans versus Democrats versus conservatives versus liberals. The group that I am concerned about are not necessarily a political party, but rather a shadow government, a group of people, a group of families that actually control the governments and control the political parties. And they like to refer to themselves as the elites. Now, there are a lot of powerful people and celebrities and politicians who are very well aware of the elites. Some of them are part of the elites, and some of them have tried to speak out against them. And pretty much everyone who tries to speak out against them either ends up going crazy, or they definitely look crazy, or they disappear, or they die. Sometimes, most of the time, from a staged suicide. But regardless, anybody who tries to go against them instantly becomes a threat. And from what I've seen, Donald Trump is one of those threats. He seems to have played both sides and can still continue to play both sides. But from what I've seen, he is going to start facilitating the positive change that we need to see just within humanity so that the elites can't have as much power that they do currently. This is why there was already an assassination attempt against him. A failed one, thank goodness. And so if he is a threat, then what does that have anything to do with mass shootings? Well, what I believe is going to happen is I believe there is going to be an uptick in mass shootings or riots or just large events of violence, which is why I guess lumping the LA fires into this video is appropriate, because I just don't think that that was a natural fire. And so far, we have seen a couple of acts of violence here in the US since the beginning of the year. We've had somebody drive into a crowd in New Orleans. We had someone's, Cybertruck explode right in front of Trump Tower, which is pretty, seems like a message in itself, both of which were military. The assassination attempt was obviously very questionable. And so, what would be the point of doing any of this? Well, for one, it's to undermine his administration. It is to try to prove how incompetent his cabinet is. And not to mention, it will also push towards gun control, which he is part of the Republican Party. They believe that people should have the right to bear arms, but the more shootings you can create, the more it can manipulate others into pushing towards stricter gun control. And, personally, I don't identify with any political party. I actually don't even own a gun. I don't plan on it. I just have my own spiritual beliefs about me owning a weapon. I just don't think that that is something that I'm meant to do. I believe that everything happens for a reason. I put a lot of faith in God. And, I have conversations with God all the time. And I say, listen, if you want me here, and if I'm supposed to do what I'm supposed to do, then I'm going to need help staying safe. I'm not going to use a gun. I'm not going to shoot anybody. So there's that. And so I am not one to personally fight for, my own personal right to own a gun. However, I do believe that the elites are very evil, and they will do anything to manipulate the public into doing whatever they want. And if you can execute a staged shooting, and if you can do it enough, you can brainwash enough people into giving up their guns or giving up their right to have a gun. But the mass shootings are not only going to serve for that purpose, but they will also serve for a ritual purpose as well, on a metaphysical, magic performing level. A lot of people don't even realize this, but a lot of the elites, a lot of the people in power are in power, for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons are through the use of ritual, the use of magic. And sometimes the darker magic requires sacrifice. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of these acts of violence are going to be done on certain days of the month or during certain moon cycles. But this will serve for the purpose of swaying the collective conscious, the selective consciousness into a lower frequency. Because if you can get someone to focus on the darkness and the sadness and the violence and the death, then you can get that much closer to controlling them. And then, of course, there is also the agenda of depopulation, of controlling the world's population. Because unfortunately, the elites view us as vermin. And they really do look at us as if we are dumb. And they ask themselves, how many people can we manipulate into giving up their freedoms? How many people can we convince that the new administration are the evil ones? How many people can we depopulate without them even realizing that's what we're doing? Of course, if you're watching this channel, then you are probably open to these theories. But there are a lot of people that are still on the fence, and that's okay. But, we do have to remember that the Holocaust really did happen. And when we read about the Holocaust, we wonder, how is it possible that so many people were manipulated into doing that to an entire race of people? How is that possible? Well, we are looking at it. A lot of people were manipulated into willingly injecting themselves with a medicine, and we had no idea what it was going to do. And it's not that it's anyone's fault, right? It's not anyone's fault, and it doesn't mean anything negative towards humanity. It just shows the magnitude of the evil that they will perform. And so, why do I tell you this? I'm telling you this because I was told to tell you. I was instructed, basically, to just put it out there and say it and know and have faith that this video will reach who it needs to reach in the time that it needs to reach them. Because Donald Trump will be our new president for the next 4 years, we can expect the next 4 years to be a very bumpy road. There are a lot of powerful individuals that do not like that he is in power. And they will do anything to either get him out of there or to undermine him greatly. And they will use the American people, if not people of the world, as pawns to do so. So us, as those pawns, we are going to be smarter. We have to be. And so what does that mean? What do we need to do? Well, we can start by tapping into our own intuition and having a very good relationship with our intuition. That is a gift. And that is a gift that can keep you safe. That is actually the number one reason why I don't own a gun, because my gut has kept me safe my entire life. And I have been in some weird, creepy, scary situations, but I was just always aware. But of course, tapping into our own intuition would require you quieting your mind, taking the time to meditate as often as you can, at least every day, so that you can hear that little voice or understand what that feeling is and respecting it. Being able to differentiate between your thinking mind and an intuitive download. Being able to differentiate between you just being paranoid or you actually picking up on something that isn't safe. We don't have to become agoraphobic and just stay inside in order to stay safe, because that's not even guaranteed either. But at least if we learn to listen to that all-knowing part of us, because our soul, we are interdimensional beings. We are connected to everything. Our soul already knows, but our human has to be able to talk to that soul. Another thing we can do is to practice mindfulness. If you decide to go out in a public, crowded space during a concert or a music festival or a sporting event or whatever the case may be, just be mindful of your situation and your surroundings. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a good time and you shouldn't let loose and you shouldn't party and all the things. I'm definitely not saying that. However, I am saying that the next 4 years are going to be very bumpy. And I think it's only been like a week or so, and we've already had a few events. Things are just getting started. And so if you're going to go out, please just be mindful. Have your wits about you. Sure, have a drink, but just have a drink. Don't overdo it on anything. You can have a good time, but please just be aware. Know where you are going. Know who you are with. Know what you will do in any situation. I've said it in previous videos before. This is why I like to watch horror movies, because I imagine myself in them, and I always imagine myself to be the hero, the final girl of the movie. And I have to say, I think those and like video games, they actually do give you psychological preparedness for certain situations. They can anyway, if you choose to look at them in that way. We're never expecting these things to happen to us until they do. Another thing that you can do is you can put energetic protection around you. When it comes to the world of energy and being an interdimensional being, anything that you think, anything that you say manifests, it becomes reality. So if you imagine, stainless steel surrounding your entire body and that's what protects you, then it is so on an energetic level. If you imagine angels with swords surrounding you, or a dragon that's constantly circling you, protecting you with a ring of fire, then it is so. Whatever you can imagine to protect yourself, then that will help you. And if you do that, do not be surprised if someone's running towards you and you think that they're coming after you, and then all of a sudden they just trip and fall right in front of you. Don't be surprised if weird stuff like that happens. Or if someone's like coming after you and you find them to be a threat, that they run into like some pole, like right before getting to you. Like weird stuff like that happens if you energetically protect yourself. And of course, last but not least, but ask for help. Ask for protection. We all have angels and guides that are around us all the time. And they protect us for the most part, but they most certainly can and will protect us if we ask for it. Now, of course, there might be a certain situation or experience that you are meant to experience due to your contracts, your soul contracts. And if that's the case, then that is something that's meant to happen, and there will be a greater reason for it. Otherwise, you can always ask them for protection. But it's really important that you ask, because it is their duty to respect your free will, because this is your human experience. My friends, we are in the middle of a revolution. The veil is lifting, and it is unmasking the evil of the world. But it's been a long time coming. And not everyone has awakened to this reality yet. But that is what these events are going to do. It might be obvious to us, but it is not obvious to the entire collective of humanity yet. We have to remember that things are going to get worse before they get better. But they are getting better. The trajectory of human consciousness is on the rise, but it's not going to come without any casualties, unfortunately. And so we just have to be prepared. And I guess this is my way of helping the collective prepare. I haven't posted a video in a couple of weeks because I have been very human due to the holidays and, life stressors, just human stuff. It's kept me very grounded. And so I haven't had enough space and time to be able to channel, a spiritual message for you guys. And for whatever reason, this was the first thing to come up. So it must have been important. The world has to see how bad it really is before we can understand what actually needs to be changed. But change is coming nonetheless. So stay very safe. Keep your wits about you. Use your intuition. Put up shields around you. Put up shields around your family, your friends. And for crying out loud, pray. Pray for protection. Okay? Just ask for it, and it will be given. But do not despair. Keep your heads lifted. Humanity is going to lose a couple of battles, but we are ultimately going to win the war. I love you guys. Stay safe. I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Bye.